I'd like to read for you a chapter out of the Real Life Stories book. My name is Norm Rasmussen. I'm the co-founder of Precious Testimonies Evangelistic Ministries. And I just hope that this brief chapter out of Real Life Stories will give you some hope, encouragement in some way. This is chapter 1 titled, Don't Give Up, Look Up. I've been hurt. I have seen my mom hurt. I've seen my brothers hurt. Family life has been hard, but I've learned you don't give up. You look up. You look up to the one. This individual obviously is talking about God. The greatest thing that I have ever done was accept Christ into my heart. Me too. I've been in church since I was about 5 years old. I thank God for that. Well, it took me 35 years at a planned suicide before I was starting to be willing to attend the local fellowship, but that's my story. This is briefly hers. I've never gotten drunk, smoked, or had sex. Well, that's incredible. I really thank God for that. I may not be able to help people with those kinds of situations, but I haven't had the best family life. What I have learned to do may be able to help you. I don't give up. I look up. My parents divorced when I was 3 or 4. My mom, my brothers, and I left. We stayed with my uncle. It didn't really affect me then because I was young, but it affects me now. My mom met a guy when I was 4. He is now my mom's husband. They moved in with each other a lot of times. What I mean by that is we jumped from different houses. We moved here and there. Everything was okay. My stepdad wasn't mean. My dad just wasn't around. I didn't understand why he didn't want to come and see me and my brother. That's a situation that many children are dealing with, have had to deal with, isn't it? I have 2 older brothers, but my oldest brother was a teenager, and he knew that my dad would not change. He still believes that, but I know one person, the only person that can change my dad. My dad would show up every once in a while and think everything was okay. It was okay until I moved to Valpo. I'm assuming that's Valparaiso for short, Indiana. And all my friends had 2 parents. Before that, my mom had bought her own house, and my 2 brothers and I lived there. My mom's boyfriend at the time would come over. He didn't like my older brother at all. He would tell my mom things that my brother did, and my mom and my brother would fight. My brother would leave and not come back for a while. I would cry because I didn't want to see my brother go. At this time, my brother would get in trouble with the law, but I didn't give up. I looked up. And God always comforted my mom and my brother through those times. During this time, I would tell my dad how I really felt. I would tell him that I needed him around. We would get in fights, and I'd cry all the time. One day, I realized that fighting with my dad would not help, but I didn't give up. I looked up. I prayed and asked God to help me talk to my dad and not fight. Now, my dad and I don't fight a lot, but every once in a while we'll get into it. Things got a little better with my dad, but things with my stepdad went downhill. My older brother went into the Army, so my stepdad didn't have time to yell at. Whoops, let me read that again. My older brother went into the Army, so my stepdad didn't have him to yell at. He would pick on my other brother instead. By this time, he and my mom were already married. It hurt me to see my brother hurt because we were so close. Always told my brother that it was the devil. It was not a battle between flesh and blood, and that is true, because if you are at all familiar with the Bible, you go to the New Testament and you go to the book of Ephesians and go to chapter 6, start about verse 10, and God tells us what our real battle is about down here. It's not with just flesh and blood. It is with demonic powers that we can't see in the unseen realm, influencing people for their purposes. Okay, get back. I always told my brother that it was the devil. It was not a battle between flesh and blood. It was a battle of the spirit. My stepdad would yell at Mom about my brother. That would upset her. There I was right in the middle of it. I would cry and pray at night sometimes, just asking God to help change them. I still pray for that now. One day Mom had to go to the hospital. She was in there for 3 or 4 days. She wasn't supposed to go home, but she called her doctor and told him she was leaving. She was still in pain. The day she got home was the day my stepdad kicked my brother out. That's when things went bad. We were all upset. It hurt me to realize that I didn't have my brother there all the time. It hurt to see Mom hurt. Now that he's gone, my stepdad tries to say things to me. I know that it's the devil, and it is our spirits that are at battle. The only thing that I do is show my stepdad God's love. It's the only thing I can do. You're probably wondering how my mom and I stayed through all this. The answer is Jesus Christ. He would give us peace, comfort, grace, and love when we needed it. My stepdad and dad have not accepted Christ into their hearts yet. Not a day goes by that I don't pray for their salvation, however. Even though things are still tough, I don't give up. I just look up. I look up to the one who cared so much that he gave his only son for you and me so that we could have everlasting life. Don't be the one. Don't be one of those people who say, I have time. Do you really? You don't know what will happen tomorrow. Accept Christ now and have everlasting life. Let him take that hurt and pain away in your life like he took it away in my life. This is written by Jessica. Well, I hope that blessed you in some way. I can imagine many people can identify with her story, the struggle of parents and in-laws and not quality visitation time, not quality communication time with moms and dads and those we love. Well, again, we are reading from the book of Real Life Stories. This is published by Step by Step World Outreach Ministries. It's a vision that the director, Jim Barbarossa, had many years ago, and he coordinated with Jubilee Worship Center, his church at the time, and they jointly put together just this wonderful and delightful book of 98 testimonies, Christian testimonies of just average people going through problems that they've had in life, and they took the time to write them down, and it was put into a book.